Hello, I'm Zarganat. Welcome to the studio this evening. So I'm annoyed. I'm starting annoyed because I wanted to finish off the battle tank. Well, not finish it tonight, but start the end. Start the end of the battle tank. And I got the box of all the parts out. But what I can't find is the build manual for it. And it's in a lovely plastic A4 folder, quite a thick one. And I know it's around, but I can't find it. And even now I'm still looking around thinking, have a look there, have a look there, have a look there. And I've looked in all these places, and I know it's around, and I know I've probably seen it recently, but I can't find it. And boy, is it irritating. So I can't finish it. I'd probably even have to see if I can find a replacement somewhere to be able to finish it, because it's a nice kit that I want to finish. But in the meantime, I've got something else that I want to finish, well, start to finish, which is this. This is a Volvo FH12 remote control, 1/14th scale, which, if you don't know, that means for every 1 foot of this model it represents 14 feet of the real thing. So I'm going to start this, because this is another thing I need to complete. Mind you, quite where I'm going to put the truck when it's finished I'm not sure, because it's easier to store the box than it is to store the truck. And I'm still looking around for this manual. That's what I'm doing. When you see me turning around now, I'm thinking, I won't look there, because I kind of love to do that one, but I can't. So it's such a long time that I've been in this box, I can't even remember what's in it. And I've just come across some bearings, which I know are for something, but I don't even know if they're for this model or not. So we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway. Yeah, because the kit comes with plain bearings. They work a lot better with roller bearings. So let's lift the lid on this. I am recording, yes I am. So you can see what's inside it, and I can remember what's inside it. There we go. All the parts. Oh, you know, I really hope the instruction manual's in here somewhere, because if it isn't, then that's it. If I remember rightly, it's perhaps on the, I was going to say perhaps it's on the bottom. Where is the instruction manual? It is on the bottom. You can't see it, but tyres, well, some of them, and some other things in the box. Remote control stuff. Yeah, well, I'm not using that for that, so. Okay. Right, so I'm going to put the box on the floor. I've never noticed that before. They even provide something to act as what they call a screw case inside of the inside the box, with some cardboard, and they're suggesting using that cardboard as a screw case, a box to put screws in while you're working on the thing. So I'm not going to bother checking the contents, mainly because there's no point, because if there's any missing, it's too bad. I've had that kit a lot of years, so there's no way I can go back to the manufacturer or even the supplier saying, hey, this thing's missing. So let's have a look at what we've got. So that picture does not do it justice. It really doesn't kind of look like that. That looks really like a toy when you see these things. And I could get I've got a Scania, but when you see the size of it, that does not look like it. And yes, it has a 3-speed gearbox, only we won't be using the stock motor. So these things are usually quite comprehensive. There are some things that are not in here and not in the kit, but there are a lot of tools in the kit. I don't know if all of these tools are, but certainly some of them are. And I suspect somewhere we'll have, yes we do, we've got English instructions, but I know there's no remote controlling, no batteries, no power chargers, no servos, no DC power supplies, no radio control. So most of that stuff is not there. I'll be using my own. I have a... what do I have? You say it's thinking. You know, oh blimey. This is really silly. What is it I have? What's my radio control? It's just round here as well. And I, for the life of me, cannot remember what it is. You say, that, of course it is. Now that I've seen it, I know what it is. It's a Spectrum remote control. That isn't the... no, it's not. Oh well, I thought I maybe found my other box just then, but I haven't. So Spectrum remote control, 2.4 gigahertz stuff. So we will be using that. So usual safety warnings of everything. Yeah, do not cut into batteries or damage them. So yeah, so we have got some tools like the box spanner, some glue and grease, and Allen keys or hex keys to give them their non-proprietary name, and they're suggesting some other stuff. Well, we have posi drives and pliers and cutters, and I probably have some cement somewhere, plastic cement. We certainly have plenty of knives and tweezers, and I even happen to have the spare battery pack. So we've got all of those things, and now this is telling us how to put together some of the things, but we literally do start with assembling some of the stuff. He says thinking, do I happen to have a spare servo? Because that's one of the yeah, I do actually. I just happen to have a spare servo. Now that's not so bad at all. I will need to get some more, and I maybe won't keep this one in, but it's a servo and it'll do the job. But I do know when we get a little bit further on and we start, oh it's way on here. What's that one for? If that's the steering servo, what's the... oh yeah, shifting servo. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to, yeah, I'm going to have to, he's going to have to get some some servos. Okay. I'm going to need at least another two. That, I can't remember what I've got that one for, but it's there. Yeah. So I know I'm going to need one for, yeah, there's a steering servo, there's a gear shift servo, and then there'll be a servo for the fifth wheel. I have to go on the back, so I need at least another two. And literally almost everything has to be built. So just to look through here is to sort of show you. You're building the side frames, the main frames for the truck, the control rods for the shifting and the steering, the suspensions, which are proper leaf suspensions. Well, having said which, I'm sure these trucks have air suspensions these days. But yeah, the main axles, the differential gears to go in into the rear axle. There's only one on this truck. There was two on the Scania. I like lots of wheels, but those mounting of that, the gearbox assembly, so you even assemble the gearbox, gearbox shifting rods. That's a bit of a pain in the neck to build because you've got to get the right gears in the right place, otherwise it doesn't work. And the gears are similar but not quite the same. I remember it being. I remember having to rebuild the one on the Scania about 6 times before I got it right. We've got a different motor to go, and then we get into the fifth wheel. But when we get into the fifth wheel, we use a. Oh no, it's got it there. Oh no, yeah, we use a servo to control that. That means that I can couple and uncouple a trailer without even needing to go to the truck, so I can do it from 20 feet away. Kind of a little bit more realistic. And even lowers and raises, you can even lower and raise the trailer legs. What you can't do is hook lights to it. That's something I want to fix at some point in the future. And fix that by some sort of, well, a remote control system. So actually it wouldn't be too difficult these days. And then there's the wiring of it. We go into there, then and the wheels going on, dual axle, dual wheels on the back, and then this then goes into doing all the body assembly and things. But before we get into the body assembly, it's very likely that what I'll be doing is maybe assembling some of it or painting bits of it before it gets assembled. Not quite sure yet. I did paint most of the Scania before I assembled it, and that's the better way of doing it. If you can, you do have to be a little bit careful, and that'll be a fairly sort of longish sort of job in a way, because you've got to clean the body thoroughly, because if there's any silicone on there which is used in the mould release, your paint finish is terrible, so you've got to give it a real good clean down. I'll then paint it with acrylic paint, which doesn't always bother about the mould release, but then it gets sprayed with a high gloss clear coat. You want it to be glossy and shiny. I suppose you don't have to, but then I do. And that all takes time to do. And this is on about radio assembly. Well, I'm not putting the antenna on there because I don't need it. With 2.4 gigahertz, your antenna's that long. There's then bits here for lighting. You can get lighting kits for this. It's a big unit. Well, at some point I want to put my own lighting kit into this. So buying some LEDs and wiring it all up will be the thing to do at some point in future. Don't know quite when. Although looking at this, their lighting control unit for this, or the suggesting for this, is a lot smaller than it used to be. The one for the Scania was quite a big pack. This one doesn't look too bad, but and then there's the parts list for it. It is a heavy case, and yeah, there's instructions here like don't run it in long grass, so that you don't tangle things up and overheat things. Yeah, inspect it before all the usual things that you are supposed to do. Lots of people don't, but you are supposed to check everything out before you go running this sort of thing. So Let's make a start with some things. I'm actually thinking whether I want to use that servo or not. Wait, and it's not particularly heavy duty because I'm not doing a lot of stuff with it, so I could potentially use that servo if it's small enough. We shall find out. But there's all sorts of stuff I've got to get out. Do I need to assemble that? See what they've got on the top of here. Is going on top of the servo. You've got this whole assembly here. What this is safety for your servos, because if your servo goes past the end of whatever it's pulling on, you ultimately can burn your servos out. But what this is here is a mechanism by which the servo can continue to turn, but the control stops, and it's in both places. So I'll put that to one side. Do I put that to one side because I don't actually know if it's the right size. I'd have to get the parts out to have a look. So we can start a little bit lower down here with the first of the cross members, and then start assembling the side rails and moving on from there. So, cup of tea. And we'll start getting parts out of the box behind me. So I have no idea which bit they're in. So we'll start. I'll leave the servo stuff until I get another servo, and then we'll. Because I need another two. Might get one of those. Get them this weekend. I can drop down to the local hobby shop and pick up a couple of cheap servos for this. As I say, I don't need really high quality servos. There's not a lot of load on them, although the gearbox one is one that needs a little bit of a reasonably strong servo to deal with. So cross members. It's probably going to be in one of these bags. Now these bags, if I remember, fifth wheel. Yeah, so we end up going through bags a lot, and that's not it. Clearly, that's not, well. I say clearly. It's clear to me that that's not it, and that's not it, and that's not it. Because I kind of know. Well, that might be it. This is where I wish I could see through. Maybe if I change glasses I'll see a lot better. Shiny plastic. So is that assembly C? There is a label on these things. That's assembly 2. No, that's not. No, it isn't. Misreading the wrong thing. No, that's not it. It's the wrong shape altogether. So it's not that assembly. See, what they have here is, you probably can't see it, but it's this flag here has got its assembly H. So it does tell you just about everything. And so this flag is on this side here, and that's assembly Q. So it's not that one. So at the start you do spend a lot of time going through bags. That's part of the gearbox. That's assembly C, because it says so there. So that's part of the motor, the gearbox, and some of the windows and visors, and part of the cab assembly. We haven't even got anywhere near the metallic bits yet. So assembly C. Now I tend not to take these things off until I absolutely need them. So this is part C, C19, okay. C19, that's this one down here, and C20, which are the two main cross members there. So, one thing you don't do is bend these off. Always cut them. Ideally with side cutters or end cutters like this. That's 19. And I'll cut 20. Well, I will cut 20 off in a minute. I won't do it just yet. Now then, I've cut that a bit too close. Never mind. I will need the scalping device, which is there, and I also need, which should be around here, and I must use those parts before I end up losing those as well. I'm looking for my filing device. Okay, I did not, I'm fairly sure I didn't put the needle files away. And I'm right, I didn't put the needle files away. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is just do a little bit of filing. I'm just taking the rough edges off here. It doesn't actually make much of a difference. This is almost a hidden part. I mean, you've got mold marks on here. I'm not going to go into the point of getting rid of all these mold marks. Some people would. I'm not some people. There's nothing wrong with doing it at all. I am mainly here just filing off sharp edges, just because I don't want sharp edges. I do want it to look somewhat neat, so yeah, I mean, I'm not going as far as removing the mould marks, especially on some of these parts here that you can't see. If we're talking about the cab, I might, you know, this is virtually hidden underneath. And for all I know, this is not. It's a scale model, okay, but it's not a replica. So I don't actually know if there is a cross member on a Volvo truck that looks like this. There might be, and if there is, then maybe it's welded down the side there. So if I were to remove it, I'd be removing detail that should be there. That would require research. I'm not going to do it. I'm not that pedantic about it. If it was really there, make it look really right. We'll just, as I say, deal with it. So then we need some metallic parts, it would seem. Yeah, we've got to install some well, I'd say captive nuts, but the pressed nuts. You know, one of the things about doing this sort of stuff on air is there's lots of things like me studying that and then going, I'm going to have to go looking for that metal kit, which means there's kind of lots of stuff where I'm not apparently doing anything on screen. Etc. So this is, the metal is in this box if I remember rightly. Oh, I think it was on the other thing. So we'll take the lid off of this. What I'm trying to do is just do this neatly rather than rip the lid off. I'm actually just trying to cut it, that's it. Cut it so I can actually just lift the lid off. I'm kind of tidy like that. I don't like just ripping things open. So they are real rubber tyres. They don't have metal in them, but they're sort of real tyres. Quite chunky things as well, quite large. And the rims are in there as well, but here we have all the metallic parts. There's a prop shaft, drive shafts, motor parts. They're all nicely labelled. I mean, we're looking for bag MA, as well as screw packs. So C something or other. BA and BA. So we're looking for a screw pack BA and metal pack MA. Yeah. Got some thread lock. Hey, that's good. I've got some over there, but I've forgotten to give you thread lock. Grease, which is used on the gearbox. Box spanner. Even give you sort of cable ties, which will be used for something which they'll tell me about when I get that far. But yeah, that's why you kind of need boxes. He says thinking, what happened to my... yeah. That's the motor that they provide. We will be switching this out. We won't be using this one. It's not bad. It's quite a nice motor. I've got one in the Scania. But what it's relatively speaking, it's fast. So what I've got is I've got some replacement motors, and I keep meaning to replace one in the Scania, but I can build it into this one, which is it's a replacement motor which is called a truck puller. But what it is it's a higher torque, lower speed motor, and which is kind of more in keeping with a truck. You know, it doesn't take off like a racing car. This kind of will, if I put that in. If you're racing them, I guess, but I kind of like to operate them at some, well, I don't like to operate them particularly at speed. So, and one of the things is, you know, you've got a gearbox in there. This motor is kind of like in first gear. The truck is fast enough at full speed in first gear that you kind of don't want to use the others. So if you have a lower speed motor, then the gearbox actually has a purpose. And yes, you can shift gears whilst on the move. Or if you've enough torque, you can just put in the right gear to start with. Right, I am still looking for... that's not it, but we have hinges for the doors. I think that's for the doors. Or it could be for the lift body. That's part. So everything's labelled. You know, I'm looking for part B MA. C. BC. B. Shock absorbers. A. Why am I not seeing? I'm beginning to think I'm looking in the wrong place. C. D. Reminds me, I'll get the thread lock out of that as well. Okay, I'm obviously looking in the wrong place. So, what